Hey y'all, just waiting a bit, because I know it's been a while since I actually have gone live, public. So just waiting. How is everybody doing? Hit the like as you come in. Hit the like. Hit the like. How is everybody doing? How was your week? What are you doing today? So, does anybody come in yet? I don't know because I'm not able to look down and see. Hello, 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 hello. Hit the like. My skin is so dry. But anyway, so I'm gonna go in and start talking. And me and a lady and I was talking about Trump. And I think she's more Democrat than Republican. I'm not on either side. I feel like they are two wings to the same bird. And that bird is headed for straight destruction. Okay. The Democrat side and the Republic are two wings to the same bird. And to me, I feel like that bird is headed for destruction. So either way it go, whether it's the Republican or Democrat, that bird is headed for destruction. And you're gonna land in destruction on either side. But I was talking to a lady and she was talking about Trump. And I said, you know what? I said, I'm glad Trump is in office. I said, I think Trump is everybody's karma. I think, because not to say that I did not care for the last I did not care for the last administration I was in. I absolutely hated it. I absolutely hated the last administration. Okay, like it was ridiculous. But I will say this, not just I know Trump is doing a lot of stuff, but I feel like what Trump is doing is showing is everybody is seeing that they are not separate from another person. Everybody seems to be getting it under Trump. Everybody seems to be getting it. So I feel like Trump being in office is righteous. It's righteous because what's going on with Trump being in office and the way he is because of people's hearts. And until people are righteous in their hearts, you're going to get people like Trump, and you're going to get even worse until people get righteous in their hearts. Now, for some reason, that is hard for a lot of people to understand. They don't understand what I mean by that. And that's part of the problem, is that this is not about this world. I think because the United States is just not a spiritual place. It's not a spiritual place, but this right here, this whole experience is definitely spiritual. All this is spiritual. We're supposed to learn a lesson. Everything that we go through is a mirror. We're supposed to learn lessons. It's not just about making laws so another person is not able to practice their racism. So you make a law for them to stop what's in their hearts. It's time for the wheat to be separated from the tares. And I think what's going on with Trump is he is here to put a mirror in front of everybody's doggone face. When somebody is in office, even if it's Joe Biden or whoever it is, and they are doing a crappy job, The best thing to do is to look at the collective unconscious. Because the collective unconscious, whoever is in office, is because the collective unconscious in their heart is aligning with who's in office. Okay, you really you get what you are most aligned with, and I'm just gonna say that here. You're gonna get what you're most aligned with. And a lot of people, for some reason, like when I say it to people, when you have Trump in office, when you have a Joe Biden in office, or whoever comes in office, this is a result of the collective unconscious. It's what's going on with them. Because here's the thing: if it was all a particular person or particular entity, and you have no power, then you can be victim. It will be their fault. You have no power in the matter. And so when somebody says there are no victims here, that means that you have some kind of power over this. Okay, that means that you have some power over this. But just because you forgot that you have power doesn't mean that you don't have power. You just forgot that you did have power and listen to somebody else who wants to act like they have more power than you do, but you might have more power than they do. You just forgot who you were. But yeah, I was talking to her about that. And talking about how a lot of this was a Latino lady I was speaking to. She was talking about how a lot of farmers in the South, white farmers, are upset with black farmers for owning farms and all that stuff. Like a lot of white people in the South, like specifically like Alabama, Mississippi, and the Carolinas, they don't like the fact that black people are able to read. They don't like the fact that black people are going to college. They don't like the fact that black people are working. When they call black people a DEI, which is why I don't care for Kelly Price saying that when she was mad at black women. When they call black people a DEI, they're telling you that this land is for white people. And you're only here, you're meant to be that slave. Okay, so that's why I don't like other black people who want to attack other black people and say it. They're telling you, when they call you a DEI, it don't matter how smart you are. They're saying you're a DEI because you're not supposed to go to college. You're not supposed to work. You're supposed to be picking cotton. And the fact that you are working somewhere, you are DEI. It doesn't matter how intelligent you are. They don't care. They feel like you're supposed to be their slaves. This is what Trump came into the office to uncover. And a lot of people are mad at that. Well, you need to get mad at your own heart. Because it's time for people to see the truth. Keep covering up stuff for laws when these people had this stuff in their heart. And because they don't understand that this whole experience is spiritual and it's meant for us to learn a lesson. Not for us to just sit here and make a law to cover up somebody's behavior, to stop somebody from behaving the way they want to behave, to cover up what's in somebody's heart. The laws was there to cover up what's going on in white people this whole time. But now the laws have been removed and everything is being revealed. Everything is being revealed, and a lot of people don't like it. You say Trump opened the doors for people to openly practice their racism, and so a lot of black folks are mad at Trump. For some of them are mad at him for that reason. And I'm saying this is a spiritual experience. This life is spiritual. You're supposed to learn a doggone lesson. And you can't just hide behind something. It's time to know the doggone truth. And either it depends on what you're gonna do with it. It depends on what you're gonna do with it. Okay. I want to say this. I know people say that black people need to have their own neighborhoods and stuff. Black people didn't have their own neighborhoods. Black people had Tulsa, Oklahoma. Black people had thriving neighborhoods that was actually doing better than white neighborhoods. It was at a point when white people were borrowing from black people. What happened was some black guy was accused of touching a white woman in the elevator somewhere, and all of a sudden Tulsa, Oklahoma was burned down. What happened to what's that lake over there in Georgia? What's that lake that was built on top of that town in Georgia where all those black people were killed? So if black people have thriving towns, they just can't they can't rely on the physical. They're gonna have to have some spiritual backup, because the minute they thrive and stay to themselves and just thrive on their own, they're gonna be attacked. They can't be like Mexicans. They cannot be like the Chinese. And I think that's what some black people don't understand. That's in this generation. That black people, it was a time when they did have their own towns and it was burned down. It was constantly burned down or attacked in some kind of way. And it seems to often involve some kind of white woman and a black man. Whether he was lied on or whatever the reason was, their towns got burned down. And so, but that's an excuse. That's an excuse, because you don't go and burn down a whole black town, a whole town over what this one person did. If this one person actually committed some kind of crime against somebody, you go after that one person. To go and burn down a whole town, and they had helicopters and dropping bombs on the stuff on the town, that's some other type of stuff. That seems like that's on a government type of level right there. That's beyond something happening with a black man touching a white woman. That's an excuse, and I think it's a lie, to be honest with you. And that's not me defending black men. I think it's a cop out. They don't want black people together and thriving. But I want to say this: it's time to get right in your heart. It's time to get right in your heart. The reason why, because when you're not right in your heart as a collective unconscious, when you're not right in your heart, then it leaves room for these type of entities to come and destroy your towns. This is all spiritual. That's what I'm getting to. So I don't want to get back black men, black women, white women. I don't want to get stuck on no race, because that's lower consciousness type of talk, and I don't want to get stuck on that. Okay? I don't want to get stuck on lower consciousness, lower mind type of talking. This is spiritual. Until black people collectively, people that are identified as black people, collectively get right in their heart, they cannot, even if they were to decide to come together and build a town, even if you had 300,000 black people that decided to build their own town and come together and it did well, it's going to be an issue. You're going to have some KKK or somebody that's going to find their way. And even people say, like, don't live in the South. Listen, even if it's not in the South, in California, they recruited a lot of those officers from Alabama and Mississippi. They recruited a lot of them to come to California during the time, I think it was the 1965 riots. They recruited a lot of them to come to California to train the cops in California how to be ruthless towards the black people. This is a war on black people. Listen, stop acting like you're Latino. Stop acting like you're Chinese. If you're black, there's a war on you because you are black. And I'm talking about black American. There's wars on Africans and all this stuff too, but I'm telling you, I can't speak on them. I can't speak on them. I've never lived in Africa. I'm not around African people having conversations with them every day. I cannot speak on them. I cannot speak on their experience. They the only ones that can do it. So yeah, I know stuff going on with them too, but I don't know what to say. I can't talk about it. I'm not around them. I'm not in Africa. I don't live there. I don't know. I can't speak on it. Right? And the reason why is because when you are, as a community, as the Black American community, you constantly have your own stuff going on. There's no room to concentrate on somebody else. There's no room to get in somebody else's business. Even if it's stuff going on in Africa, the fact that there's constantly a war waged against you, there's no room to be in nobody else's business, even if it's stuff going on. Because there is a serious spiritual war against Black Americans. And you got to understand that it's not about just getting your own community like the Chinese do and the Vietnamese do and the Latinos. I'm telling you, it's a war on you. You can't be like them. They can go and have their own communities and nobody touch them. Nobody bothers them. Black folks can't do that. Okay. In the 1965, a lot of those cops did not have the heart to beat Black people the way they used to beat Black people during Jim Crow and in the South. They did not have the heart. Those cops in California, they didn't have that type of stuff in them. They recruited cops from the South, from Alabama, Mississippi. They recruited those cops to go to California and train those cops how to beat the mess out of black people. There is a war on black folks. This is spiritual. And until, like I say, black people can come together and let's do this. You can do all that if you want to, but it's not about, if you can't just look at the physical. This is a spiritual issue. And it's best to go higher. I know people talking about what they practice voodoo and all that stuff. Okay, that's fine. But I don't know what these white folks are using. They got their ancestors and they using their spirits too, okay? And I got something to say about this realm. Sometimes I wonder about the God of this realm. Whose side is that God on? Okay, that's why I say it's best to be, and I'm talking about the underworld, the God of the underworld. Some people might want to say Osiris. Well, I don't know what's going on with Osiris, but whatever the God of this underworld is favoring white people, and I can see it. They're allowed to really do a lot of bad things, and nothing really happens. So whatever the God of this particular realm, because this is the underworld, whatever the God of this particular realm is favoring white people. That white people are their child, is that God's child. Okay? Because they can do whatever they want to do to anybody. And nothing really comes on them. Until people raise up in consciousness, and I think that's when we're going to see. And I'm talking about a particular group of white people, but I want to say this about white people. I think it's not going to do any good to sit back and be silent. Okay? After the death of the so-called death of Charlie, I'm going to say so-called death of Charlie Kirk. After the so-called death of Charlie Kirk, we saw people's true colors. We saw a whole lot of white people for what they were, and we saw nothing changed. A lot of that racism went into the generations. When people thought that it didn't exist anymore, it was there. It was just covered up, like you put a Band-Aid on it, or you made a law to cover it up, and now everything has been uncovered. Okay, and I think. I don't think it's going to be a good idea for too many white people to stay silent when they see this happening, because there's not going to be any room to say not all. There's not going to be any room to say not all white people, because if you see this happening and you have a significant number of white people to stay silent, seeing all of this, and a lot of white people honored Charlie Kirk. Well, a lot of them talk shit about them too. They talk bad about him too. Okay. But I think white people, the same way black people called each other out, called out ghetto women, called out ghetto men, they called out gang members. Black people talk about each other online, like just calling out each other's crap and they effery. I think white people need to start calling out each other's effery, because what's going to happen is it's going to look like it's all of them. And we know it's not all of them, but at the same time, it's going to look like it's most white people. And when it's most white people, then nobody's going to care about not all when it's most. Because when it's most of them, it's a good chance that the one person you come around, just because they're not saying nothing out their mouth, you don't know what's in their heart. Because a lot of white people carry this in their heart. So it gets to a point where you can't really say not all, because it's way too many. Okay? And I was talking to a Latina woman. A lot of Latinos don't like white people. There's a lot of people around the world that starting to like. That's why I say white people need to start speaking up against this fuckery, because, yeah, you had some black Americans talking about it's not our fight, but they're not the ones that seen as racist. They're the ones they seen as stupid for coming out online. Why would you come out and say that? Did somebody say black people come and help us? Why would you say it's not our fight? Why even say anything? You see somebody being detained or something happening to them, bad things happening to children, and the first thing you do is get online and say, well, it's not my fight. That's so cruel. That's cruel to say that when somebody else is that's cruel. Why get on your line? Why get on your computer and say that? It was 2 black men hung. I forget, it's some southern town where 2 black men hung. Now can two Mexicans say, well, it's not our fight? Like, why say anything? Just don't say anything. Obviously, you can't fight everybody's battle because you can't protect yourself. So clearly you can't fight other people's battles, but why get online and say it? But the point is, most people just saw black folks as just being kind of ignorant. But when white people stand by and watch idly, they're seen as racist. In the world, it's just not liking white people. There's a lot of Mexicans who don't like white people, and there's black people who see white people for who they are. And what's going to happen is people are going to have to raise their consciousness. They're going to have to work on their own heart, and white people are going to do the same, because something is coming for the collective of white people. This God of this realm, once it's overturned, white people are in trouble, because I feel like the God of the underworld favors white people. And when this God of this underworld is overturned, I feel like white people are going to be in trouble. Okay? But anyway, that is it, and I will talk later. Okay.